Maybe it's 2 in the morning right now. The lights are off. Your phone is face down or lying face up beside you, but in your head the lights are still on. Like a city that never really sleeps, your body is worn out. Your eyelids feel heavy, your shoulders too. But somewhere in your chest, your heartbeat is still a little faster than usual. Your stomach feels slightly tight, and your thoughts just keep running. They rewind through every little moment of the day. That sentence you said that sounded a bit off. The email you sent that no one has replied to. Tomorrow's meeting, next week's bills. The person you like but can't read at all. The mistakes you made. All the if-onlys return like a playlist with no stop button. You're lying there in the dark, and maybe somewhere in your head, a very familiar question is whispering, "Why can't I just fall asleep already?" If that's where you are right now, then welcome. You're not alone. Tonight, I'm going to sit next to you for a while. Not to tell you what you're supposed to do with your life, not to push you toward positivity, just to walk with you through a few layers of your thoughts. A little slower, a little softer. You're listening to Lucid Dream, Sleep and Science Stories. This is Lucid Dream, Sleep and Science. Stories that this isn't a place where you have to become the perfect version of yourself. It's simply a small corner where you get to breathe slower, think slower, and look at yourself with a little less harshness. There's something I want to tell you right from the beginning. You're not weak because you overthink. You're not broken just because your mind refuses to shut down at 2 in the morning. The truth is, almost everyone has nights like this. People just rarely talk about them. Not many people describe lying in the dark, eyes wide open, feeling like the entire world has fallen asleep, and you're the only one still awake with a noisy mind. You might be the person who seems completely fine during the day. You know what needs to be done, when to smile, what to say to sound right. But at night, when there are no more messages, no more meetings, no one who needs an immediate response from you, everything you didn't have time to face comes back. The comparisons. People my age are already so far ahead. The fears, what if I fail tomorrow? What if I'm not good enough? What if I never change? And the quiet little self-blames that keep looping. Why am I so stupid? Why didn't I handle that better? I don't know the details of your life, but I do know that shared feeling, a mind doing overtime while your whole body ended its shift hours ago tonight. We're not going to try to force it off. We're not going to clamp down on your thoughts and try to silence them. Instead, I want to invite you to try something gentler. Step a little bit away from it all. Look at it the way you'd look at a line of text scrolling on a screen. Not like a storm pulling you into the center. We'll borrow a little wisdom from people who wrestled with these things long before us. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, people who also faced fear, loss, and long sleepless nights. Stoicism isn't about turning off your emotions. It's the practice of sitting with yourself, seeing what's really happening inside, and saying, "All right, I won't run away from this, but I also won't let it sweep me under." Tonight, I can't promise that all your thoughts will disappear. No one can give you that in a single night, but there's something small we can do. Give your mind just enough distance to breathe. Give your body a real chance to rest. If your thoughts are loud right now, it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you've been carrying too many things for too long. No one taught you how to put them down. And maybe you've never really had someone sit with you and say, "Honestly, I'm exhausted." So let tonight be an invitation, not an invitation to do more, but an invitation to do a little less. You don't need to win against overthinking tonight. You don't need to fix every mistake, solve every problem, or answer every why. before you close your eyes. Tonight, we only need to understand it a little better. See what this noise is really trying to tell you. Learn how to sit next to your thoughts instead of drowning in them. If you want, make yourself a little more comfortable. Pull the blanket closer to your shoulders. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Rest your hands anywhere that feels easy. You don't have to focus hard on listening. This isn't a lecture. It's just a voice keeping you company while you move through a few turns in your mind. You can pay attention for a moment, drift off for a moment, and fall asleep whenever you do. Everything is okay tonight. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to remind you of a few things you might have forgotten while you were running so fast that you've already survived so much, that you're still here, even after nights when you felt like you were falling apart, that your worry about tomorrow is sometimes just your heart saying, "These things matter to me." But it's also true that if you keep carrying everything in your head, even the things you can't control, of course you'd feel drained tonight. Instead of trying to become a stronger version of yourself, try letting yourself be simply human, with fears, regrets, comparisons, and dreams, and also a human being who deserves a quieter night's sleep. Will go slowly, piece by piece, from the place of my mind won't turn off to the place of recognizing what it's trying to protect you from, then gently separating what's real from the story you're telling yourself, then stepping back from the storm just a little more. But before we go there, before we talk about any techniques or philosophy, there's one simple thing we have to do first. To honestly notice what's really happening inside your mind every time 2 in the morning arrives. We'll start from there. Take a moment to look back. Nights like this usually begin in the most ordinary way. You turn off the lights, put your phone aside, think to yourself, all right, time to sleep. I need to get up early tomorrow. And for the first few minutes, everything seems fine. Your body starts to soften. The room settles into silence. It feels like you're about to fall asleep until a tiny click happens somewhere in your mind. Maybe it's a sudden image, a sentence from earlier today, a message left unanswered, a task left hanging, and suddenly, it's like someone pressed play on a long reel of film. You begin rewinding every moment of the day. That joke you made that sounded a bit off. Someone's expression when you said something you weren't sure was appropriate. The email you sent, wondering what they thought when they read it. The conversation you didn't finish and still haven't followed up on. Then your mind changes scenes from what already happened to what hasn't happened yet. Tomorrow, the meeting, the deadline, the number in your bank account, the work left unfinished. All the things that, if they go wrong, you imagine an entire chain of disasters following behind them at this point. Your body is sending a very clear message. It wants to sleep. Your eyelids are heavy, your back aches, your shoulders feel tight but drained, but your mind is like a worker staying late into the night, still staring at the screen, still typing, still calculating. What if I can't finish tomorrow? What if people judge me? What if I ruin everything? Sometimes it replays things from long ago, a sentence from months back, a misunderstanding, an embarrassing moment that, if you talked about it now, you might laugh off. But at 2 in the morning, it's not funny at all. It hurts. It stings. It makes you shrink inside, and you hear that familiar voice in your head. God, why was I so stupid? I shouldn't have said that. I should have done it differently. And so, in a dark room, you're lying still while inside, everything is loud. Sometimes you turn to one side, then the other. You pull the blanket up, kick it off, adjust your pillow, shift your position, not because you don't know how to lie comfortably, but because you're trying to find a switch to turn your mind off. But the mind doesn't have a switch. It only has more tabs opening. A tab for work, a tab for family, a tab for the person you like or used to like, a tab for the things you haven't accomplished, while others seem to do them so easily. And every time you try to soothe yourself, just sleep, deal with it tomorrow, your mind answers, no, think a little longer. What if you forgot something? So you find yourself there, on your own bed, feeling trapped inside your own head. If someone saw you from the outside, they'd see nothing unusual, just a person lying still, just another night. But inside, you know the truth. Every thought, every image, every sentence rushing across your mind pulls a real emotion with it, real enough that your heartbeat speeds up a little, your stomach tightens a little, your breath becomes shallower. On nights like this, overthinking isn't just thinking too much. It's the feeling of being trapped inside the very words you say to yourself. If I mess up tomorrow, everything falls apart. If they don't like me, maybe I'm worthless. People my age are so far ahead, and I'm still here. You don't have to say any of this out loud, but your body hears it, your heart hears it, your sleep hears it, and then comes a very specific kind of shame that only shows up at night. Not the shame of someone watching you, but shame toward yourself. Shame for making mistakes. Shame for not meeting expectations. Shame for comparing yourself to others and shrinking because of it. And layered on top of that, a thin, quiet loneliness. Why do I have to think this much? Why does everyone else seem normal, and I'm the one spiraling? If that's you, if you recognize even a small part of yourself in these lines, then there's something I want you to know before we go any further. There is nothing wrong with you. Your mind isn't broken. Your heart isn't weak. You're not the only one lying in a dark room with a bright, buzzing mind that refuses to stop. Maybe during the day, you play your role well. You know how to behave. You know when to speak, when to stay quiet. You know how to smile, how to say I'm fine, how to say no worries at the right moment. But at night, when all the roles turn off, what remains is just you and the thoughts you didn't have time to process. Overthinking is like tossing everything into a basket throughout the day, saying, I'll think about it all tonight. And at night, the basket overflows and you're stuck in the middle of it, not knowing where to begin. You don't do this because you enjoy hurting yourself. You do it because a part of you truly believes, if I think a little harder, I can control everything. That's why the mind refuses to turn off. It believes that by replaying everything, by preparing for the worst-case scenarios, it's protecting you, so tomorrow will hurt less, surprise you less, disappoint you less. Your body pleads, let me sleep. But your mind stands guard, keeping watch in every direction. I'm not saying this to justify overthinking. I'm saying it so you can see something clearly. You're not weak. You've just been in survival mode for too long. The real story isn't, how do I turn all these thoughts off? The real story is, what can I do when a mind that's trying to protect me ends up exhausting me instead? Tonight, we're not going to force it into silence. We're going to try one gentle thing, instead of standing in the middle of the stream of thoughts. Take half a step back and watch where it's running and why. Before we talk about Stoicism, before we talk about philosophy, before we quote any wise words, we need to be honest about one simple thing. Whenever your mind refuses to turn off like this, does it feel like it's working against you? Or deep down, is it trying to help you in a clumsy way? On the surface, these thoughts exhaust you, but underneath, they come from something small and very real. You're afraid. You want to hold on. You don't want to ruin things. You're afraid of losing opportunities, afraid of being seen as not enough, afraid of being left behind, afraid of hurting others or being hurt by them. Seen from that angle, overthinking isn't just the enemy of sleep. It's also the voice of the part of you that's trying the hardest, the part that wants everything to be okay. The problem is, not every moment needs that level of thinking, especially not at 2 in the morning. But I understand to talk back to your mind. You first need to understand what it's doing. So before we move on, before we talk about separating what's real from the story, before we learn how to step outside the storm, I want to invite you to one small thing. Try placing this question in the middle of all the noise in your head. If my mind keeps running like this, if it refuses to turn off, then what exactly is it trying to protect me from? Don't rush to answer. You don't have to say anything out loud. Just let the question settle somewhere in your chest. In the next part, we'll sit a little closer to that question and see, with all its noise and inconvenience, what fears your overthinking is trying so hard to guard you against. Earlier, we paused at this question. If my mind keeps running like this, what exactly is it trying to protect me from? Now let's sit a little closer to that question. No analyzing, no dissecting things on a whiteboard, just two people in the middle of the night, talking slowly, because there's something that sounds strange, but is actually very true. Overthinking doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's not a random rainstorm falling out of the sky. It's more like a built-in alarm system installed inside you long ago, just installed a bit too tightly. Back when humans lived in the wild, the brain was designed to survive. A strange sound meant you had to jump. Anything unclear meant you had to stay alert. Better to panic by mistake than miss real danger. Now, we no longer run from predators, but the part of the brain responsible for protection is still there. Only now, it's not warning you about a growl in the dark. It's warning you about a "hey, can we talk tomorrow?" About being left unseen, about a short email from your boss without a smiley face. It looks at those situations, and on a very primal level, it reads them as danger, possible rejection, embarrassment, or loss. So it does the only thing it knows how to do. It starts thinking through every possible worst-case scenario, thinking of ways to avoid, fix, or prepare. Its internal logic is very simple. If I think hard enough, I won't get hurt unexpectedly. If I prepare everything in advance, I won't fail. So it runs and runs and runs. If you look deeper, overthinking isn't just thinking too much for no reason. It's a clumsy form of self-protection. You think a lot about work because you're afraid to lose it, because you want to do well, because you don't want to see disappointment in someone's eyes tomorrow. You think a lot about relationships because you fear hurting someone or fear that one day they'll leave and you won't see the signs soon enough. You think a lot about the future because you're afraid of being not enough, afraid of missing opportunities, afraid of waking up years later and realizing you haven't moved. All those spirals of thought, if you flip them over, usually come from a gentle, quiet fear. I don't want everything to fall apart. The issue is the brain can't tell the difference between thinking to prepare and thinking so much that it drains you to the brain. There are only two modes, calm or alarm, and often it gets stuck in alarm. You can picture it like a rookie night guard. A leaf falls, a cat runs, a breeze shakes the window, and he hits the alarm. Something's wrong. Something's wrong, not because he hates you, but because he's terrified that one day something will be wrong, and he won't warn you in time. Your overthinking works the same way. It's afraid you'll miss a red flag, afraid you'll get hurt the way you did last time, afraid you'll be embarrassed, rejected, or abandoned. So it treats every tiny detail like a warning sign, a period, an ellipsis, a short reply, a silence slightly longer than usual. Then it says, look again, think this through, don't sleep, don't let go. What if we missed something? Here, Stoicism offers an interesting angle. Epictetus said, it's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. It's not the event itself that shakes us, but the meaning we attach to it. Overthinking happens when your opinion turns a small thing into a whole story. An email, let's talk tomorrow. The actual event, a meeting, that's it. But inside your head, your inner security guard translates it into, I'm in trouble. I messed up. Something awful is coming. It starts building scenarios, rehearsing dialogues, preparing responses, drafting 5 worst-case stories, and practicing how to survive each one, all because it believes, if I prepare enough, I won't hurt. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Overthinking is when your estimate always leans toward the worst dot. So one important step in being less harsh on yourself is admitting this strange but true thing. Your overthinking is a part of you trying, in the only way it knows, to do something good for you. It's trying to protect you. It just doesn't know how to soften. Seeing this won't magically fix everything overnight, but it does remove one unnecessary layer of self-blame. Instead of, why am I so weak? Why do I think so much? You might shift to, oh, this part of me is scared. It's guarding me. It's just overdoing it. The feeling changes a little. It's no longer me versus my mind, but me standing beside my mind, telling it gently, thank you, but I'm safer than you think. I'm not asking you to instantly hug your overthinking and say thank you at 2 in the morning. That might just annoy you more. But if you can shift your perspective just a little, from the destroyer to the panicked gatekeeper, a tiny opening forms for things to soften. You're not wrong for wanting things to be okay. You're not wrong for wanting to avoid failure. You're not wrong for wanting to be loved, respected, and safe. It's just that the method you're using, thinking one more hour and another hour, and adding endless what-ifs, is taking away the one thing you desperately need for tomorrow, a decent night's sleep. If you were sitting across from a close friend, seeing them exhausted, eyes red, hands shaking, but still saying, let me think a little more. What if everything falls apart tomorrow? What would you say? You'd probably say, go to sleep. Figure it out tomorrow. You've done more than enough. You wouldn't say, you're stupid. You're weak. Why are you worrying so much? But with yourself, it's often the second voice you use. I'm not asking you to change that voice instantly. I just want you to see one thing clearly, that overthinking mind, most of the time, isn't the enemy. It's the small part of you standing guard, holding a flashlight, eyes wide in the dark, quietly whispering to itself, we can't let anything bad happen again. It simply forgets that to protect you tomorrow, the best thing isn't keeping you awake tonight, and that's something we'll gently remind it of later. But before you retrain this alarm system, the Stoics always start with one step, separating the event from the story you're adding to it. Because if everything feels like danger, if every sound is interpreted as intrusion, the alarm will never stop ringing tonight. We won't try to break it. We'll simply learn to label its signals more accurately. A little note you can keep in your mind, like a tiny sticky note placed somewhere inside your head. Overthinking is my mind trying to protect me. It just doesn't always know how. From that place, we can take the next step, sit down, open the bag it's clutching so tightly, and ask, out of everything you're shouting about, what part is real? And what part is the story you're adding on top? That's where we're going next. A very important place where you learn to separate what is actually happening from the movie your mind is building around it. Let's go back to that very familiar scene. A small thing happens. A sentence, a look, an email, a notification, and almost immediately, your mind doesn't just register what just happened, it turns on an entire movie attached to it. Instead of a single frame, it builds a whole story. The Stoics have a very simple but powerful way of seeing this. They divide life into two layers. One layer is what is actually happening, the things you could record on video. Screenshot the things that, if you showed them to someone else, they would have to nod and say, yes, that happened. The other layer is what you add on top of that, the assumptions, the interpretations, all the maybe it's because, it must be that, they probably think, and a lot of our overthinking doesn't come from the first layer, but from the second. For example, your boss sends you a message, let's talk tomorrow. That's the fact. One sentence, a short line, a meeting, but in your head, the story starts rolling. Oh no, something's wrong. Did I mess something up without realizing it? Maybe that email I sent wasn't okay. What if I'm getting fired? What if everything I've been building just collapses? A simple sentence that from the outside looks completely normal gets translated on the inside into a whole chain of alarms. Or think about someone you care about. You text them, they see it. They don't reply right away. The fact is only this, they've read it, and they haven't responded yet. But the story says, they're tired of me. I'm annoying. I must have done something wrong. I don't matter to them. From a small silence, you jump straight to a conclusion about your worth, or you put something out into the world, a project, a post, a piece of work. Fact, how many likes it gets, how many views, how many people see it. Story, no one cares. I'm not as good as I thought. Everyone else is better than me. Maybe I should just quit, over and over. The actual event is thin, but the story you build around it becomes very thick, Epictetus said. It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them. It's not the event itself that throws us into chaos, but the opinion, the way we read it, the meaning we attach to it. And overthinking is mostly us getting swept up in that layer of opinion and forgetting the layer of things underneath. If you pay attention, the nights when your mind refuses to turn off often follow a similar pattern. Something small happens, the brain records it. Then the brain starts adding dialogue, scenes, and background music. Let's talk tomorrow turns into my life is over. Still no reply. Turns into I must be worthless. A bad day turns into I am a bad person. There's a very small but powerful way to start seeing these two layers clearly. Whenever a thought makes your heart beat faster, when your stomach tightens, you can whisper in your mind, very slowly, as if you're talking gently to yourself. This is the fact. Then describe what's happening, the way an outsider would see it. Fact. My boss texted that we'll talk tomorrow. Fact. My message hasn't been answered yet. Fact. Today I said something that made the room feel a bit awkward. That's it. No commentary. No labels. Then you say a second sentence. This is the story my fear is telling. And you let all the maybe, what if, all the worst case scenarios come out after that line. Story, I'm going to get fired. Story, they don't respect me anymore. Story, they hate me. Story, I'm useless, just by putting them into the right boxes. The feeling shifts a little. you're no longer the person drowning inside the story. You become the person reading the lines of your own thoughts. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this in a very simple way. If you are troubled by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Estimate the way you judge it, the way you magnify it, the way you convince yourself it will be as bad as possible. When you separate fact and story, you're not erasing your feelings. You're just pausing long enough to ask, the pain I'm feeling right now, is it coming from what actually happened, or from the 10 extra steps of logic my mind added on top? Some nights, the fact is only, today I spoke a bit too harshly. Today I dropped the ball on something. Today I pushed myself beyond my limits. But the story becomes, I'm a terrible person. Everyone will leave me. No one understands me. Your body doesn't really distinguish between pain from facts and pain from stories. Your heart still races. Your breath still shortens. Your sleep still stretches thin. But if you step back just half a step, not to deny what you feel, just to sort it a little, you may notice something gentle. A big part of what you're afraid of is the smell of the story, not the weight of the truth. I'm not telling you not to feel. I'm just inviting you to look a bit more closely. Am I hurting because of what is happening, or because of a future I just created in my head? Because your mind has a habit. It doesn't like empty spaces. When it doesn't know what's coming, it fills in the blanks. And usually, it doesn't fill them with the most comforting scenario. It rarely says, tomorrow will probably be okay. It usually says, tomorrow is going to be a disaster. Simply because, to the mind, preparing for the worst feels safer. The Stoics don't ask us to be naive, to believe everything will always be fine. They just remind us, before you believe any thought, ask yourself, is this something that is actually happening, or is this just a story I'm adding on top? You can imagine yourself holding a pen. Each thought appears, and you mark it lightly. Fact, story. Tomorrow I have an important meeting. Gives fact. If I say one wrong word, they'll look down on me forever. Gives story, they replied with a short message. Gives fact. They're bored with me. Gives story. Lately I've been tired, and my work isn't as good as before. Gives fact. I'm about to lose everything. Gives story. If you do this a few times, it might feel strange and awkward at first, but slowly, your brain will learn something new. Not every thought that appears automatically deserves the label truth. Some thoughts are just your fear practicing out loud. When you separate fact and story, you're doing something the Stoics are very good at, separating the impression from the judgment. An impression can come very fast. A look, a line of text, a brief moment, but judgment, the conclusion you draw from that impression, is something you choose. You can choose to believe it completely, or you can say, wait, this is just an impression. I don't have to turn it into a story that hurts me. At night, when you're lying there, eyes on the ceiling or closed, thoughts running like subtitles across a screen, you don't have to stop them right away. You can simply add a small label, like a quiet caption, fact, story. Little by little, your mind will mix them up less. And when it mixes them up less, your emotions don't get swept away as easily. You'll still worry. You'll still have sleepless nights sometimes. No one lives without them. But instead of being dragged through a full 120-minute movie, you'll see it more as separate scenes. Oh, this is the scene where fear is talking. This is the scene where I'm exaggerating. Oh, this is the scene where I'm judging myself too harshly. From there, one very small but important thing becomes possible. You can pause for half a second before believing, half a second before chasing the thought, half a second before spinning into another loop. That half second, the Stoics call it the pause, the gap. Not big, not dramatic, but that tiny pause is often the line between just another day and another sleepless night. From recognizing this is fact, this is story, we can move to the next step, learning how to actually step out of the storm of thoughts. Not just label every gust of wind in the next part. We'll step into that pause, the Stoic pause, that tiny moment when you're no longer trapped in the storm, but standing under a small roof, watching the rain fall, and quietly knowing the rain is still falling, but I don't have to keep getting soaked. By now, you can see the two layers more clearly, what is actually happening, and the story your mind tells on top of it. But noticing them is one thing, not getting swept away is another, because at 2 in the morning, even if you can recite fact versus story by heart, when a thought hits the exact sore spot, it still feels very real. A single line in your head like, what if I fail tomorrow? Even if you know it's a story, your heart can still speed up. That's why the Stoics don't stop at analysis. They practice one very small move over and over for a lifetime. The pause, the pause. Not a pause in all thinking, but a pause in your automatic reaction to your thoughts. You can picture it like this. When a thought appears, you usually do two things very quickly without noticing. First, you believe it's true. Second, you follow it. The Stoic pause is slipping a thin little beat between those two steps, a tiny in between, like when someone says something to you, and instead of reacting instantly, you take a breath, stay quiet for half a second, and only then respond. That moment of quiet is where you take your power back. It's the same at night. A thought pops up. I'm not going to make it tomorrow. The old brain reacts like this. Believe it gives, imagine the worst case scene gives. Heart races, gives no sleep. The new brain you're practicing now adds just one move. It says, very slowly, in your head, okay, this is just a thought, not a prophecy, not a sentence handed down by a court, not an official announcement from the universe. Just a thought, and you are not obligated to obey every single thought that appears in your mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You don't control everything outside you, but you do have a small bit of power over how your mind responds to those things. The Stoic pause is the moment you actually use that small bit of power. You don't have to do anything dramatic. You just don't respond right away. For example, a thought pops up, I'm useless. Instead of silently nodding, yeah, that's true, you try adding one small phrase in front of it. My mind is telling me that. My mind is telling me that I'm useless. When you add, my mind is telling me, you separate yourself from the sentence. It's no longer I am this, but my mind is saying this. It sounds tiny, but the feeling shifts a little. You're no longer glued to the words. You become the listener, the observer, Epictetus said. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The pause is that how, what happens. The thoughts that pop up, you often don't get to choose those, but how you answer those thoughts. You can add a little awareness there, not 24/7, not like some permanently enlightened monk, just sometimes. Especially on nights like this, you can imagine yourself standing on a train platform. Each thought is a train passing by. Some trains are labeled, I'm going to fail, they're tired of me, my life is going nowhere. Until now, every time a train like that arrived, you almost jumped on it automatically, sat down, and let it carry you all the way to the final station. The Stoic pause doesn't ask you to stop all trains. It simply gives you a new option to stand on the platform, watch a train go by, and ask yourself, do I really want to get on this one? You will still end up on some trains. That's okay. But if even once or twice tonight you manage to stay on the platform, let one train pass without boarding, your mind starts learning a new groove. Oh, I don't actually have to go with every thought. While that's happening, your body can do one small thing to remind itself, we're safe right now. No need to count, no need to stress over inhale for 4, exhale for 6. If that just makes you more tense, just this, when you notice a thought has stretched you tight, let your shoulders drop a little. Breathe in a bit slower than usual, and breathe out a beat longer than usual, as if you're exhaling the whole tired day. Then tell yourself, quietly but clearly, this is just a thought. I don't have to follow it. You don't have to believe it 100% yet. Just hear it as a suggestion. You might even think it sounds silly. What's the point of saying that? But little by little, these small reminders start creating space between you and the storm in your head. The storm is still there. The rain is still falling. But you are no longer standing in an open field. You're standing under a small roof. The Stoics don't try to chase the clouds away. They don't pretend the sky is clear when there's lightning outside. They simply find a place to stand where they can see the whole sky without getting struck. The Stoic pause is that place. Sometimes the pause is only as long as one breath. Sometimes it's just a single word. Wait, hold on. Let me check if this is a fact or a story. And in that short wait, a very small part of you, the part of you that's listening right now, can speak up. Okay, I hear you. I hear the fear, but I'm not going to let the fear drive everything. You won't manage this every time. There will be nights when your thoughts still sprint, and you still jump on trains like before. But tonight, if even once you catch yourself slipping back into that familiar spiral, and you manage to slip in one small line, this is my mind trying to protect me. Just for a second, I'll step back. And you actually step back for that 1 second. That's enough for one night. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, the mind must stand its own ground and not let the things it experiences toss it around like a child. The mind must stand its own ground. Your mind has to learn how to stand on its own ground, not be thrown back and forth by everything it feels. You don't have to become a stone statue. You just need somewhere to plant your feet at 2 in the morning. That place to stand is rarely tomorrow's projects or emails or goals. That place to stand is usually something very simple. The room you're in, your body, your breathing. The Stoic pause begins in the mind, but it doesn't end there. If you stay only in your head, it's easy to slide back into the same old stories. So, after separating fact and story, after being able to say, this is just a thought, the next step of tonight's journey is to return to the only place where your life is actually happening right now. This room, this bed, the breath rising and falling in your chest. In the next part, we'll walk slowly back to that place, not with complicated exercises, but with very small reminders, so that, little by little, you can feel this. Your life is not inside the movies your mind plays, but here, where you're lying right now, with a tired body that's still here, and a heart that, even while it worries, is still patiently beating for you, one beat at a time. After all those laps in your head, maybe it's time to come back to where you actually are, not in tomorrow's scenarios, not in today's replays, but back to a place so ordinary that you usually forget it's there. This room, this body, this breath. Have you noticed that when you're overthinking, you almost stop feeling your body at all? Your mind is racing, but you can't remember what your back is resting on, where your hands are lying. how the blanket actually feels against your skin. In those moments, your whole life seems to exist only inside your head, but if you pause for a second, you'll see your life right now is not happening in the sentences that begin with, "if tomorrow." It's happening in one very specific place, on the bed you're lying on. So let's try something very small. Not an exercise, not a technique, just an invitation to stay with yourself a little more if it feels okay. You can gently notice how the sheet under your back feels. No need to describe it in words. Just to know, okay, my back is touching something. Is it soft or firm, cool or a little warm, rough or smooth? You don't have to label it. Just recognize, I am being held up then. The weight of the blanket. You might notice whether it feels light or heavy on your body, whether it's resting on your shoulders, touching your arms, or covering you completely. Maybe you pull it a little higher, up toward your neck, or lower it a bit so it's easier to breathe. Either way, just notice the blanket is here with me. You don't need to force yourself to relax every muscle. You just need to stop ignoring them then. If you want, you can listen for the smallest sounds in the room. The fan turning, the air conditioner, if you have one, the faint sound of cars in the distance, the soft hum of a fridge, or the way silence thickens around you. All of those sounds usually get drowned out during a busy day by notifications, messages, emails, videos, conversations. But now, when the outside has gone quieter, they become tiny signals reminding you, I'm here. I'm in a room. I'm not inside the stories in my head. Somewhere inside you, an old voice might still whisper, but there's so much to deal with tomorrow. What about the debts, the deadlines, the future? I understand. Those things don't vanish just because you notice the sheet beneath you. But Marcus Aurelius had a strange, gentle way of looking at this. He often reminded himself to return to right now. Not all your life, not 10 years from now, just right now, right now. You are lying here. Right now, you are not standing in front of your boss. You are not in the meeting. You are not being interviewed. You are not having to explain yourself to anyone. You are simply lying on a bed, in a room with very small sounds around you, and a body that has carried you through an entire day. Your mind is trying to jump ahead by hours, days, months, but your body is always exactly where you are. The Stoics always return to that place. They know that whatever they have any real influence over is not in some imagined future, but in what they do with this moment. In this moment, you can't fix every problem in your life, but you can do one small thing for yourself. Allow your body to rest, even if your mind is still noisy. Your body can still begin to soften. You can notice your breathing, not as a task, but the way you'd listen to an old friend. Breathing in, breathing out. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be perfectly, even like a guide in a book. Just notice. Every time you breathe in, air enters your lungs. Every time you breathe out, something leaves your body. You might whisper, very softly in your mind, inhale, exhale, or I'm here, right here. When you're overthinking, your mind is like someone pacing around the house, checking every corner, opening every drawer, asking, is something wrong? Is something about to break? Your breath, on the other hand, is like a friend sitting quietly in one place, pouring you a glass of water and saying, sit down for a moment. You don't have to strain yourself to practice breathing. You just don't turn your back on it. If it helps, you can count gently in your mind. 1, as you breathe in, 2, as you breathe out, up to 10, then back to 1. It's okay if you lose track. It's okay if you're at 4 and suddenly your mind jumps to, what time is the meeting tomorrow. All that matters is that when you notice you've wandered off, you come back to one, like someone coming home after walking around the city too long. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Master of yourself doesn't mean controlling every thought. It means knowing the way back to yourself when thoughts have carried you too far. What do you come back with? Not with another chain of reasoning, but with things that are simple, ordinary, unimpressive. The feeling of the sheet, the weight of the blanket, the sound of the fan, the rhythm of your breath. Sometimes you might gently place a hand on your chest or on your stomach. No need to find the perfect scientific spot, just somewhere that, when you touch it, you feel a little closer to yourself, as if you were saying, "I'm here. I've got you." You might not fully believe it. Your mind might still be full of questions, but your body understands small signals like that. It understands when you let it stop curling in on itself from tension. It understands when you let your shoulders drop a little, when you stop clenching your jaw quite so hard, even if your thoughts are still loud. Choosing to treat your body more gently is already very different from those nights when you force yourself with sleep. Come on, sleep. Why aren't you sleeping yet? Stoicism isn't about sitting there philosophizing while your body falls apart. It's about returning to what is simple, what is ordinary. Eating, sleeping, breathing, taking care of the body you live inside. Seneca once shared an idea very close to this, that the mind and body are more connected than we like to admit. If the body is too exhausted, the mind can't really be clear. Tonight, you don't need a clear mind. You just need to give your body a chance to rest. Right now. You don't have to solve everything right now. You're just a tired human lying in a bed at the end of a long day. That's all if a part of you protests. But isn't this just avoidance? If I don't think, who will? You can gently remind it, tomorrow I'll come back to those things. But tonight, I need at least one person on my side, and that person should be me. Come back to the room. Come back to the body. Come back to the breath, not to prove that you know how to meditate, not to reach some special spiritual state, just to remind yourself of this. Your life doesn't only live on the screen in your mind, it lives here, in each breath, in each heartbeat. And if you want the strength to keep living, to fix things, to change, to face what you need to face, then you have to learn one thing that seems simple but is not easy: knowing when to put things down. Tonight is one of those times. From here, once you've touched the present moment, even a little, you finally have enough space to do something very important next. To look at the way you talk to yourself on nights like this, because sometimes it's not the thoughts themselves that exhaust you, but the voice you use on yourself when those thoughts appear. And that's where we're going together in the next part. By this point in the night, when your mind has slowed down a little, when you can feel the sheet, the sound of the fan, the rhythm of your breath, something else starts to stand out more clearly. The voice that's talking in your head, not my voice, not anyone else's from the outside, but your own voice, just showing up in a harsher version. If you really listen, that voice is rarely as gentle as the way you'd speak to someone you love. It sounds more like a strict boss, an old teacher, someone standing there with their arms crossed, taking notes on every small mistake you made today. You didn't actually do anything worthwhile. If today was like this, tomorrow will be even worse. Everyone else can do it. Why can't you? Sometimes it doesn't even form full sentences. It's just a vague feeling of not enough, not good enough, not fast enough, not worthy enough. The strange thing is, you would almost never dare say those exact words. straight to the face of someone you truly care about. If your closest friend were sitting in front of you right now, eyes tired from the day, telling you how they tried and still feel like they failed, would you say, "Yeah, you're pretty awful. You deserved that. Everyone else manages it. You're the only useless one"? Probably not. You might be honest. You might offer tough feedback, but you'd find it very hard to use the same words you throw at yourself so easily, Marcus. Aurelius had a habit, he wrote to himself, as if he were his own companion. Those pages weren't meant for publishing. They were there to remind him of what he already knew, but tended to forget. You can think of the things you tell yourself at 2 in the morning as a kind of meditations to dot the problem is. If we wrote them down, they'd often look more like a list of charges than a gentle reminder. Here are all the ways you're not enough. Here are all the mistakes you've made. Here are all the places where other people are better than you. No wonder that with a self-dialogue like that, sleep doesn't exactly feel welcome. If you tried to step outside yourself for a moment and listened to the conversation in your head as if it were two people talking, you might be startled. On one side, there's you, truly tired, truly scared, truly wanting tomorrow to go better. On the other side, there's also you, but holding an invisible whip. You should have been better than this a long time ago, at your age, and you're still like this. If you don't push harder, you'll always lose to everyone else. Epictetus once said, "We can't control everything that happens, but how we speak to ourselves about those things is fully within our choice." It doesn't mean it's easy to choose, especially when your mood is low. But difficult doesn't mean impossible. So let's imagine something for a moment. If tonight, instead of you lying here, it were your closest friend in this bed, telling you exactly what you've been thinking. "Today I felt like I was awful. I'm scared everything will fall apart tomorrow. I feel like I'm not as good as anyone." What would you say to them? You might not know how to fix their life, but one thing is almost certain. You wouldn't use the kind of words you're using on yourself. You might say something like, "I know you're exhausted. Today was heavy, but that doesn't make you useless. You've been trying really hard. The results just haven't shown up yet." You might hug them, pour them a glass of water, tell them, "Get some sleep. We'll figure it out tomorrow." You wouldn't look at them and say, "Yeah, you're right. You're nothing." And yet, when the one lying there is you, you allow yourself to do exactly that. You are the only person in the world you give permission to insult without limits. I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty about it. I just want to point at something simple. Your first reflex is usually not to be gentle with yourself, but to be hard on yourself. Stoicism is sometimes misunderstood as you must be even stricter with yourself. Marcus wrote, "Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." Taken out of context, that line becomes a perfect weapon for the inner critic. But strict here doesn't mean cruel. It doesn't mean repeating "you're trash" over and over. It means being honest with yourself about what you did and didn't do, paired with a sincere desire to become better. Not a desire to punish yourself. Self-punishment isn't responsibility. It's just an old habit. So if we gently shift it, being strict with yourself could start with this rule. You don't allow yourself to speak to yourself in ways you would never dare use on someone you love. It's like setting a house rule. In this house, we don't use that kind of language on anyone, including me. This doesn't make you soft or weak. It just means you understand that words are heavy, especially the words you repeat in your own head. Every night before you sleep, you don't have to swing to the other extreme and start telling yourself, "I'm amazing, I'm perfect, I'm the best in the world," when you don't believe it. The Stoics had no patience for fake positivity. But between I'm worthless and I'm perfect, there's a wide middle ground where you can say things that are both honest and not destructive. For example, instead of, I never do anything right, you might try, I didn't do as much as I wanted today, but I did get some things done. Instead of, I'm worse than everyone, you might try, I'm slower than some people I see, but I'm not standing still. Instead of, I'm a terrible person, you might try, today I did some things I'm not proud of, but that doesn't define my entire life. These aren't empty affirmations. They're simply a fairer version of what's happening. Marcus often reminded himself that every day he would meet people who are selfish, shallow, careless, but he also reminded himself that he and they are all human, all capable of mistakes, and all capable of change. The same is true for you. You have parts of yourself you don't like. You have habits that leave you disappointed in yourself. You have old mistakes that still sting whenever you think of them. But you also have the times you got back up, the good things you've done that no one saw, the small efforts only you know about. If the voice in your head only ever points at your failures and never once acknowledges anything else, it becomes almost impossible to feel like you deserve any rest at all. And if you don't feel you deserve rest, you'll keep staying awake, keep thinking, keep using that same whip on whatever chance of sleep you have tonight. You don't have to transform your inner voice completely. All you need is that whenever you catch yourself saying something too harsh to yourself, you add another sentence next to it, like a friend stepping into the conversation. For example, when the thought appears, you really are a failure, you can let that line pass and then add, that's fear talking. The truth is, I'm learning and I'm not finished yet. When you hear, no one needs you, you can add, that's just a feeling, not a verdict. Some people do need me, and even if it's not many right now, the future is still open. You don't have to win an argument with that harsh voice. You just have to make sure it's no longer the only one speaking inside your inner house, at the table where all the voices gather. Tonight, I just want one more chair for a different voice. The voice of someone who actually cares about you, not someone who indulges you, but someone who sees you more fully than just through your mistakes. You did what you could today. It wasn't perfect. It never will be, but it was something, and for tonight, that's enough. Seneca once wrote that we torture ourselves with things that may never happen, but often, the thing that hurts us most isn't the future at all. It's the way we talk to ourselves about the present. You can't force yourself to love who you are in one single night, but you can start by hating yourself a little less tonight. When you listen to the voice in your head, if you notice it sounds a lot like the voices of people who once hurt you, maybe it's time to make a small change in the team behind that microphone. You don't have to replace everyone. You don't have to fire every critic. You just invite in another part of you, the softer one, the more mature one, the one who understands that everyone is trying in their own clumsy way. And let that part say something a little less heavy. And if tonight you do only one small thing, right before you throw a harsh line at yourself, you pause for half a second and ask, if this were someone I loved, would I say this to them? And then adjust the sentence to match that answer. Then you've already started a new habit from here. As that inner voice becomes a little less sharp, as you stop being your own enemy, there's finally enough space to touch one of the most basic questions in Stoicism. Out of everything I'm worrying about, carrying and replaying tonight, what is actually in my hands? And what do I need to learn to put down? That's where we'll step into next. Part 7. What you can control tonight and what you can't by this point in the night. We've walked through quite a few layers together, from a mind that refuses to switch off, to seeing overthinking as a clumsy kind of protection, to separating what's actually happening from the story I'm telling about it. Then learning to step back half a step, then coming back to the room, the body, the breath, then softening the inner voice, from a whip into something a bit fairer, a bit kinder. Now, maybe it's time to touch a very old question that always feels new whenever night falls. Out of everything I'm thinking, carrying, worrying about tonight, what is really in my hands and what isn't. Epictetus opens Enchiridion with a line almost everyone who studies Stoicism knows by heart. Some things are up to us and some are not up to us. There are things that depend on us, and there are things that, even if we think about them for 3 more hours, will still not be in that category. It sounds obvious, but if you look back at your sleepless nights, you'll see a very clear pattern. Your mind is usually busiest with things that are not up to us at all, thoughts spinning around. What other people think of me, how my boss will react tomorrow, whether that message will be answered the way I hope, whether opportunities will arrive in time for me, whether my whole life will turn out okay or not. Your mind treats those things as if thinking hard enough will force tomorrow to match your script. But the truth is, tonight, lying in this bed, in this exact minute, you do not have a direct button for any of that. You don't have a change their thoughts about me button. You don't have a make tomorrow go smoothly for sure button. You don't have a fast forward 6 months so I can see if I'm okay button. What you do have lives in much smaller places, the ones you usually dismiss as not important. How you talk to yourself tonight. Whether you let your body rest or force it through a few more hours of tension. The decision, will I believe every thought that appears, or will I pause? The choice, will I scroll for another 30 minutes, or put my phone aside? Epictetus continues, within our power, our opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not our own doing. It sounds extreme, but the main point is, what we truly hold in our hands is less than we think, and what we try to carry is more than we can bear. At 2 in the morning, you're exhausted. You've already used up most of the battery of the day. If now, you spend what's left of that battery on things that are out of reach, then tomorrow, when you actually need energy for the things that are up to you, you won't have enough left tonight. You cannot rewrite everything that happened today. Guarantee that everyone will understand you correctly. Change the schedule of tomorrow's meeting. Make the future suddenly become less uncertain, but you can. Stop when you notice you're being brutally hard on yourself. Choose not to watch one more video that opens 10 more tabs in your mind. Slow your breathing a little when your heart starts to race. Tell yourself, I made it this far today. Tomorrow I'll keep going, but tonight I need to sleep. Marcus Aurelius often asked himself, is this something that is or is not in my control? That simple. If the answer was no, he reminded himself, don't let it rent out your whole mind. Don't let it take over your bed. Don't let it steal the night. You can do the same. Whenever a heavy thought rises up, you can whisper in your head, is this mine to carry tonight? If the honest answer is no, there's nothing more I can do about this right now, then maybe the only thing left for you to do is to set it down beside the bed, like a heavy backpack, and say, we'll carry this again tomorrow, but tonight I need to sleep. Putting it down is not running away. Putting it down is what lets you have enough strength tomorrow to pick it up. Again, with a clearer mind, there are worries that naturally shrink by half after a decent night's sleep, not because the situation fixes itself, but because you have a little more distance, a little more energy, a little more clarity. Meanwhile, if you stay awake to solve it in your head until 3 or 4 in the morning, most of what you gain is only more exhaustion tomorrow, burning eyes, a heavier head, and half the capacity to deal with the things that are up to you. Stoicism is practical to the point of being a little ruthless. It reminds you not to waste your strength on things whose outcomes do not weigh on your decisions, but at the same time, it's deeply humane. It reminds you not to neglect the small things you really can do. Tonight, you can make very small choices, like not rereading an old conversation 10 more times, not opening that old email again just to punish yourself, not checking the clock every 5 minutes to declare, "Great, tomorrow is ruined." These choices might not transform your life overnight, but they're the bricks that build a different kind of relationship with yourself. The relationship between you and the night. Version of you, the you at 2 in the morning. How many years has night you had to carry everything day you didn't have time to feel? In the daytime, you're busy doing, facing, running. At night you has to sit down and sort through it all. Maybe it's time those two versions of you cooperate a bit more. Day you does what they can with the day. Night you has the right to say, "That's enough. The rest is for tomorrow." You did what you could today. You don't have to solve your whole life between midnight and 3 in the morning. You can imagine a small circle right in front of your chest. Inside that circle are the things you can actually touch tonight. Your attitude toward yourself, the decision to put your phone a little farther away, the way you allow your body to soften with each breath, the choice to believe I did what I could within my limits today, instead of I did nothing. Outside that circle are things like other people's feelings, reactions, and thoughts, tomorrow's events that haven't happened yet, long-term outcomes that are not under your immediate control. Tonight, you are not responsible for carrying both circles at once. You only need to tend your small circle well enough that when you step into the larger one tomorrow, you're not already empty. Marcus often wrote to himself as a simple reminder, do what's in front of you with focus and care. At night, what's in front of you is not tomorrow's meeting, not the next few years, but the pillow in front of you, the room around you, the drowsiness arriving slowly, a day that has passed, and the fact that you're still here to feel it in these last minutes before sleep. You can choose to do one very small thing instead of comparing yourself with other people. Compare yourself with a different version of you, compared to the days when you didn't understand anything about overthinking, didn't know why you were getting swept away, didn't have words for what was happening in your mind tonight. You know a little more. You know overthinking doesn't mean you're broken. It means your mind is overworking its night shift on guard duty. You know facts and stories are not the same thing. You know you're allowed to pause. You know you can return to the room, to the body. You know your inner voice doesn't have to be cruel. And now, you know something else. You don't have to carry what isn't in your hands. On this particular night, that alone is a step forward. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to transform overnight. Some journeys aren't measured by how fast you move, but by whether you dared to take one small step in the right direction tonight. That small step might simply be, I will not try to control what is not mine tonight. I will take care of what is, my body, my breath, my inner voice, and the choice to rest. From here, our journey for tonight is also getting close to its ending. Not an ending for every problem, but a resting place, a bookmark in the story of your life. In the next part, I want to sit with you and close this day as gently as possible, not by promising tomorrow will be perfect, but with one very small sentence that many adults have forgotten how to say to themselves: today, this was enough. So we've already gone quite far together in this one night, from that first moment when the lights were off but your mind wasn't, to when we looked more deeply at overthinking as a clumsy kind of protection from a big, tangled mess of thoughts, to gently separating it into what is actually happening and the story your mind is building on top, from automatically jumping on every thought train that passes by, to learning how to stand on the platform, watching a few trains go past without having to get on them, from living entirely in your head to coming back to the room, to your body, to your breath, from talking to yourself with harsh lines to inviting in a softer, fairer voice to join the inner conversation. And in the last part, we drew a light boundary, what you can actually do tonight and what you can't. Now it's time to close the day, not to close every question, not to close every fear. Those will still be there, somewhere in your life, but tonight, we're only closing the chapter that belongs to today. Your mind might still be saying, but I still haven't done this. Tomorrow is still scary. My path is still unclear. I'm not here to tell you those worries are nonsense. Some of them are very real. You worry about what matters. And that's why those things stay in your mind longer than others. But Marcus Aurelius had a helpful habit. He closed each day by asking himself, today, within my abilities, did I do what I could? Not did I do everything, but with the energy, circumstances, and conditions of this day, did I try within the range I could actually reach? If your answer is yes, but it wasn't perfect, that is usually the most honest answer. You might not have finished your whole to-do list. You might have missed a few things. You might have said something that still makes you feel uneasy now. But you also got up and faced the day. Went through some interactions that weren't easy. Took a few more steps even when you were tired. Sat here and listened all the way to this part, which means you're trying to understand yourself better, instead of letting everything drag you the same way it always has. Tonight, you don't need to prove to anyone that you used 100% of your capacity. You only need to look back and quietly acknowledge, today, I made it this far. There are things I didn't do well, but I can learn from them tomorrow. Not in the middle of the night. You did enough for today. Not you did everything. Not you did perfectly. Just this, with what you have right now. With what you know, with the wounds you still carry. You made it through another day, and that alone is not a small thing. You can imagine signing a little note for yourself, like a mental permission slip to rest. Today ends here. The remaining work will leave for tomorrow. Not because you're irresponsible, but because a day has its limits to just like your body. Your mind also needs a time to clock out. You don't force your muscles to run non-stop. You also can't force your mind to work without any break tonight. If you want, you can whisper a very simple sentence in your mind. Today is over. For tonight, I can rest. If it feels more natural, you can say it in Vietnamese. Ham nay, ti, y la, ri, ti nay, mnh, cphp, ungh. Being allowed to rest doesn't mean you're giving up. In fact, it's the only way you'll have the strength to keep going tomorrow. Stoicism isn't about gritting your teeth and enduring everything every single day. It's about recognizing your limits and using your strength wisely. And sometimes, the wisest thing you can do is sleep. Sleep is not running away. Sleep is giving your system a chance to reset. Tonight, if your mind is still a little noisy, it's okay. You don't have to wait until every thought disappears to be allowed to sleep. You only need to stop fighting yourself, to stop adding lines like, "Sleep, you useless thing. Tomorrow is going to be a disaster. I don't deserve to rest." Instead, you can say the kind of things you would tell a very tired friend lying next to you right now. "I know you're worried. I know there's a lot waiting tomorrow. But it's nighttime now. Let's rest a bit first. Tomorrow, when it's light, we'll figure things out together." You can gently place a hand on your chest or on your stomach, like you did earlier. Feel your heartbeat, not perfect, just still here. Feel your breath, not deep, just ongoing. Then, if you'd like, you can close your eyes or let them half close, and let this voice drift further away, like a small boat pulling away from the dock. From here on, you don't need to keep up with every single sentence. You don't need to finish the episode. You can let yourself drift off at any point. You can fall asleep whenever sleep comes. There is no test waiting for you at the end. If another thought pops up, reminding you of something unfinished, you can repeat this line like a gentle latch for tonight. Not now, tomorrow. Kang Fi Bei Gig. G. My. Not never. Not, I'll pretend it doesn't exist. Just not in this moment, right now. Your job is very simple. Lie here, breathe, and allow yourself to sink into a place a little quieter than when you first lay down. If you carry anything from tonight, I hope it will be small things like these: that overthinking doesn't make you weak, that your thoughts are not always the truth, that you can always step back half a step and not be swept away, that your body is a safe place you can return to when your mind is too loud, that the voice in your head can be adjusted little by little, and that you don't have to control the entire world in one sleepless night. You only need to take care of one person who is lying here, in this room, you. You did enough for today. You are allowed to rest. If you wake up tomorrow and everything is still messy, that's normal. No philosophy turns life into a straight line, but maybe somewhere in tomorrow, you'll remember a tiny piece of tonight. The moment you realized you can be softer with yourself without becoming weaker. Tonight. Thank you for letting me sit beside you this long, in a city that's sleeping. Inside thoughts that felt like they would never stop. You're listening to Lucid Dream, Sleep, and Science Stories. If you're already sleepy, let the rest of these words fade into the background, like distant sound. No need to hold on. No need to remember. Just let your body grow heavier, your breath slow down, and allow yourself to step away from tonight's shift. The rest belongs to the morning. Good night. Sleep gently. Tomorrow, you can begin again.